Well, hello, my dears. Daniela here, and welcome to the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast. Things are moving and shaking over here at Addo Aesthetics, and our team is growing and expanding, and I am so excited about that. Now, we measure our success off of the results of our clients, and because of that, we're always looking for the gaps. Where are our clients getting stuck, or where are they not getting the results that we would like to see for them? Now, we help our clients build a systems-based business so that they can have the financial freedom, the time freedom, and really the flexibility to adjust their work based off of the season of life that they're in. Those of you with small children know that when you have toddler age kids, it's very different than when you have kids in school, and your work availability might be different based on that, right? Or if you're caring for elderly parents or whatever is going on in your life, we want you to have that flexibility. We want that both and lifestyle. That's something that I'm very passionate about. So why is it that a practice owner can have all of their systems tied up in this nice, neat little bow, but they're still feeling overwhelmed because the actual problem is that they need support and accountability to use the systems in the first place? They haven't established that habit to open up Monday or to use their Google Calendar, or whatever the starting point is. That is exactly the gap that we were seeing with a percentage of our clients, and that is why we chose to bring in Candace Williams as our newest coach. Now, I'm going to read her bio so you can get an understanding of who she is professionally, and then I want you to listen to the interview so that you can really get a sense of her vibe, her energy. She's incredibly intelligent, extremely professional, systems-based, and also focuses on results for clients. So let me go ahead and read her bio, and then we'll play that interview. So Candace is a certified coach who brings a systems-based, evidence-driven approach to helping professionals strengthen leadership, execution, and sustainable growth. She specializes in executive function and productivity coaching for high-achieving leaders navigating complex responsibilities. With over 10 years of professional experience and 6 years coaching physicians, healthcare professionals, and entrepreneurs, Candace has developed and led company initiatives within healthcare organizations focused on improving performance, sustainability, and overall well-being. As a certified health education specialist trained in ADHD and executive functioning coaching, she helps ambitious leaders move from busy but stuck to clear, decisive, and results-driven. Through personalized, research-informed strategies and practical accountability, she supports clients in building sustainable systems for focus, follow-through, and long-term success, both professionally and personally. She is an incredible human being. I know that you're going to love her. Now let's go ahead and play that interview. All right, Candace, I'm so excited to welcome you to the Spa Marketing Made Easy podcast and welcome you to our Addo Aesthetics team.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
So I wanted to do this episode. I know how incredible you are. I know your expertise, your education level, your talent, the transformations that you are capable of making. But I wanted to use this opportunity on the podcast to really share your story, share the background of what got you to where you're at today, to this point in your life. So let's go back to you in undergrad. You studied social work, sociology.
Yes. So undergrad, I went away from home. I traveled to East Texas and I went to a private school. It was such a culture shock. So I got to understand life from a different lens there and the deep South.
You moved from California.
Yes, to East Texas. I probably cried the first week of school. I was like, where am I? And it ended up being the best decision I ever made. Definitely learned a ton of living skills at the age of 18 very quickly. So that was great. I studied sociology with a minor in psychology and was really involved in school. I was able to manage a ton of different extracurriculars. I joined a sorority and I was just a social butterfly. And so I loved learning from different people and different groups. And so, yeah, undergrad was great. And
Did you do your master's at the same school or did you do your master's somewhere else?
I did my master's in California. And
Okay.
so once I graduated, I left immediately. I came back home. And, I appreciated the small things like just driving down the freeway and seeing mountains and snow and things like that. So I had a newfound respect for the things that I had taken for granted when I was younger. But yes, I moved back to California and worked for about 2 years in a social work setting. I worked with foster children in the Bay Area, and I think that's what led me to pursue my master's degree. I am so grateful that I chose to get in the field for a year or two prior to going to pursue another degree. So I had a better understanding of what I wanted for my life. And so, yeah, that is what eventually inspired me to go to school for public health rather than social work.
So you've got that. Isn't it amazing how your life always takes you on like, this is the next step and you don't know where it's going to lead you, but you just keep following what feels right. So many of us in spa, we start out as a provider and then we go and work in a spa and then we start our own business. And there can be moments where we feel like, what am I doing? Like, what is this the right thing? I went to school to be an esthetician and now I'm like learning how to hire people or whatever, learning how to build a custom GPT or whatever the thing is. But when you look back and you reflect, they all actually marry so nicely together. Because I know with the coaching that you're doing now and have been doing for the past 6-ish years, having that social work education, having the psychology background, that's got to be incredibly helpful in the work that you're doing today.
It is. I like you said, I didn't know at the time how everything was going to come full circle. But it definitely allowed me to have a diverse approach to a lot of the services that I provide and the clients that I work with. And I understand things from different population groups, whether it's because of spirituality, their ethnic backgrounds, their environments, and just their overall life experiences. And so being in those different settings did help me with my career today.
So you specialize or you have worked quite a bit with patients that have ADHD and you're focusing on productivity. And when you shared that with me, I was like, that's entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
That is like so many. And what's fascinating is that ADHD is a medical condition. It's something that you are diagnosed with. And it's something that a huge amount of the population struggles with, but often goes undiagnosed. I am not a medical professional, so I don't know all of those stats exactly, but tell me a little bit about ADHD in general and like what the kind of pitfalls are. What are the signs that they're like, why can't I get this?
Right. So there are these two doctors who have done a ton of research on ADHD, and they like to summarize it as ADHD is an executive function deficit. This is Doctors Brown and Barkley. You can look them up. They have a ton of great research and videos you can check out. But our executive functions are essentially our brain's management system. So whether you have ADHD or you do not, we can all benefit from improving our executive dysfunctions. It's just a bit challenging for those who have ADHD. And then there are some folks who have ADHD that are high functioning and they make it to, they're peaking in their career. They make it to graduate school or law school or business school, some of the most renowned schools, and everyone is confused as to why they are all of a sudden struggling at this highest level. And it's because they are high functioning. And so some of the executive function deficits that folks are struggling with, they don't really notice until they've maybe burnt out or their systems are no longer working for them, especially at a graduate level or at as an entrepreneur, there's not really that accountability piece there. You don't have deadlines. You don't have your parents in your ear, or even maybe a team yet that is holding you accountable, or maybe you are the leader of that team and folks are counting on you, but you don't have someone that is checking in with you, holding you accountable on these things, or you may not even understand why or what you are struggling with.
So what are some of I know a little bit that like someone that has ADHD, they tend to get really hyper focused on things, right?
Yeah.
And they'll just get like hung up on one particular thing, or they may not be able to, not, it's like you can hear something several times and it does not, they do not comprehend it. Like for whatever reason, it like goes in one ear and out the other, even for very intelligent, educated, like they just don't get it for whatever reason.
Right. This again goes back to your executive functions, and this can include your task initiation, your planning and organization, your ability to follow through, emotional regulation, being able to control your emotions when you're feeling overwhelmed, and then your working memory. That's you not being able to grasp some of the information, no matter how many times you hear it or see it. And this is a large portion of how coaching can help you achieve some of the goals that you have set for yourself that you have not been able to achieve for like long periods of time.
So you right now, like for the past 6 or so years, you've been working in a clinical setting. You've
Yes.
been working with physicians, you've been working with patients, really helping with that task management and productivity. And now, since we pulled you over and got you to come over to our side, you're really like translating a lot of these skills that you have into helping entrepreneurs. And the productivity skills, they can be translated whether you have ADHD or not, because it's, as you said, it's the executive functioning. Like, how can I make sure that I'm not getting overwhelmed by emotion, or that I'm holding myself accountable? And this is so common for entrepreneurs, for business owners, when, especially if you start out as a provider, whether you're a nurse or an esthetician, and you're moving into this whole other world where you are the provider, and yet you're also like daily operations, spa manager, team, HR, you're like wearing every single hat. I mean, that just is enough to make you, of course, anyone's going to feel overwhelmed. And I was doing some research for a different podcast episode, and there's a lot of clinical research out there is that when someone is very overwhelmed and their cortisol levels are up, they cannot access their prefrontal cortex. So they're operating totally out of fight or flight, and they literally they don't access the part of their brain that is regulated for making decisions or anything. They're in fight or flight.
Yes, exactly. And so that can pour over into our working relationships, our personal relationships with our family, and it can essentially affect them negatively if you don't have the ability to manage your emotions or make decisions while you're at your most optimal. And so with folks who are maintaining all of those things and don't have systems in place, they will experience burnout extremely fast. It's like a Ferrari with no brakes, or like a train that's like running off the tracks and you're just waiting for the crash to happen. I mean, you don't know how to stop it. And willpower is not enough. You can have all the willpower in the world, but if you do not have a system that works for you, and there's not a one size all approach to systems that work for folks either. And so if you do not have a specifically tailored system that works for you as a unique individual, then it's going to be very difficult to manage those things. And it doesn't have to be, and there are resources and supports such as coaches and books and podcasts and other things that, you can take advantage of and really do the work to make significant change in your life and hopefully sustainable change, so that you are successful as an entrepreneur or a business owner.
So we obviously built our entire business on systems, right? We teach spa owners how to build a systems-based business. And yet there's certain people that they'll say, I have all the things, but I'm just not following them. And
Yes.
that's really where you come in, is like, we understand the system, but how do we make it work for you? How do we like tweak this or put it in a way that you're actually going to follow the system because this is what works for your brain, or this is the correct trigger to get it you to actually use the system.
Right. And so I've looked at all of the programs and the content that we have available, and it's amazing, and it's so much information for anyone to be able to build their business and let it thrive. But it can be challenging to put a system in place to actually implement those things, especially if you're still trying to get your personal and your professional life in alignment with one another to where they are working together. And so um, that's where a lot of the task paralysis comes in. And it's really important, and something that I do as a coach is I gather some baseline data to really understand the individual's strengths. I do a strengths-based assessment and a learning modalities assessment, which is also really important, because there's not a one-size-fits-all approach to that either. Someone may have a more kinesthetic way of learning, whereas another individual may be an audio learner or more hands-on. And so with those two together, we can help build a system that works for you based off of your own personal character strengths and learning modalities. And so it's
That
really a
seems
deep dive. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It
Go ahead.
seems so beneficial also for your team, because
Yeah.
if you're trying to get your team to operate with the systems, you need to
Mhm.
understand their learning style as well, or like how you're going, because that's another thing that I hear a lot from entrepreneurs is, yeah, we've got the systems or we've got the policy, but they're not following it, or they're not. And it's like, how can we set them up for success and make sure that they are getting, that they're hearing what I'm saying? Like, I know for me, I like when I'm doing coaching calls, if people are typing into the chat, I'm like, can you just unmute? Because like, I am such a verbal processor. I'll read it
Yeah.
and I'll be like, I'm literally reading this like 5 times and I cannot understand what it's saying. Can you just unmute and talk to me? And I've learned that after like 12 years of coaching, but it's like, if there's a way to do that faster, that's such a great leadership tool as well.
Yes, it truly is. And it also helps in a way of understanding someone may have greater strengths in one area that you do not. And maybe you can leverage that person on your team to or delegate something to them to take something off of your plate. That is one of their strengths. And since it is something that they are good at, there's going to be more interest in them doing that. So it's not going to take as much willpower to initiate that task to get it done. So then things just start flowing for everyone. And it's really one of the most rewarding things about coaching is starting to see the systems working for the business owner, the spa owner, and the team. And so once you have regulated your executive functions, it creates space for those around you to do the same. It's really a beautiful thing to see.
What inspired you to get into this work in the first place?
So initially, going back to my graduate program, I studied public health, and we had a class basically that talked about people's belief systems, the stages of change that people go through, behavior modification, and how we could use those things to and promote health and better outcomes for people and overall just a better quality of life. And throughout undergrad and I worked for a ton of nonprofits, and even in high school, I was always volunteering, and it was just so fulfilling to me to just give back to people and help. And I don't know, it was just in me. I didn't choose it; it chose me. But when I was in school, that was something that we did. So within public health, there's so many different sectors you can go into as a professional. And I ended up just doing more of like program evaluation. So I would build programs, implement them, sustain them, and evaluate them to see what was working for this specific population and what was not, and then make changes and adjust as needed, or just continue to sustain them over time. But seeing the success of, the clients that were coming to these programs really helped. And then data is an amazing thing too. And even with like technology throwing every day, it's helped us quite a bit kind of streamline the process of evaluating that data to really kind of pinpoint and target what folks have a need for. And what we started to recognize in these clinics were these high achieving folks, these doctors, these physicians, they were struggling with building systems. They were kind of just on autopilot, and they were showing up and they were just getting by. And eventually, once they get out of residency and they are going to open up their own private practice and clinics and whatnot, they no longer have leadership or structure to help them follow through on these things. And now it all falls.
It's so incredible, because I, with the utmost respect, will regularly say that doctors are horrible business people, and they're so like clinically smart and academically brilliant. Mm-hmm. And then when it comes to business, they're like, I just need a practice manager.
Yeah.
They want to be, they want to do their craft. And hey, I've built a whole business around that, but it's so interesting to see. And when we're working with a client to help them get results, like one of the most amazing things is like, there's these people out there who are so intelligent, who have so much, I call it like their sparkle. They've got so much inside of them.
Yeah.
And once they realize what they're actually capable of, and sometimes it's just like putting the right person in the right position. They say like a rose doesn't bloom whatever that analogy is, like you've got to have the right thing in the right place. If you can figure out how to unlock someone's mind in the right way to see what they're genuinely capable of, the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. So often these people that need to figure out how to get a system to work for them, or how to hold themselves accountable, or whatever that thing may be, they figure it out in the way that makes sense for them. And then they just grow in the most incredible way. And there was never anything wrong with them. It was just that they couldn't figure out their system. They couldn't figure out what worked for them. And I absolutely love seeing that, when someone sees that and then builds their own confidence of what they're truly capable of.
Yes. And building confidence, it can be a journey for some people. And so that's why it's so important to celebrate those wins, to eventually lead you to measuring your success in a way that works for you in your life. Success is what you make it. And so if you are setting these goals for yourself that, I know we all think highly of ourselves, and we should set goals, as high as possible. We need to challenge ourselves, but you don't just go from here to there without building a system, celebrating the small steps, and then basically just balancing and being present in your daily life. You don't want to burn yourself out on the road to success. It's going to come. It's consistency that's most important.
Yes. Amen.
Yes.
That's the line. Well, I think you guys can see why I'm so excited to have Candace on the team. She is filling a gap that I think is so incredibly important in what we do. And we, again, obviously are coaching aesthetic professionals to build a systems-based business. And we can give you the blueprint, but if there's that gap in understanding, why isn't this working for me? Or why am I not being consistent? Why can't I, why am I not holding myself accountable? Whatever those things are, That is Candace's specialty, to be able to help figure out how to tweak the system to make it work for you. So, Candace, we're so excited to have you on the team. I cannot wait for our community to have their calls with you. And thank you so incredibly much.
Thank you. I'm so excited to meet you all. Let's connect, and best of luck to you all in your endeavors. And we're so excited to work with you.
Quick reminder before you leave, if your spa growth still depends on you doing more, it's time for a shift. Watch The System Shift, a free training designed to help spa owners break past that $25,000 to $35,000 month plateau without adding more treatment hours. You'll learn the CEO level systems that help you scale while protecting your time, your values, and your peace. Go to grow.addoaesthetics.com/podcast and watch The Systems Shift. That's grow.addoaesthetics.com/podcast.